Hey Gianna. So I want to go over a little bit more about 7th chords, kind of build on what we talked about at the lesson, and go into a little bit more detail, okay? So if you remember, 7th chords are when you build on top of your triad. You've got in the key of C, C, D, or C, E, G, and then you add a note, a 7th above that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so in this case it's a B. Now, that is what's called a major 7th. The 7th in that case is, if you're doing the scale, the major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, it's your T, okay? T. Now, the other kinds of 7ths are the dominant 7th, which is where that top note is lowered 1/2 step. So in this case it's a B flat. Okay? And that's the one that's used in a lot of blues and that kind of thing. I mean, it's used in classical and such as well, but it's very common in blues. So you've got C, E, G, and B flat. Okay, so that's the dominant 7th. Now, if you remember what we talked about, the dominant 7th is often used on the 5 chord. So in this case, a C dominant 7, we've now left the key of C. One way you know that is because it's a B flat. You don't have, there's no B flat in the key of C, right? It's C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B natural, and then C. So B flat is not in the key of C. However, B flat is in the key of F, okay? F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, okay? So, the B flat means, in this case, that we're in the key of F. And C is the 5 chord in F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, F, G, A, B flat, C, okay? And that's the chord that we talked about. It pulls back to the 1 chord. Okay? All these notes are pulling towards other notes. Okay, the B flat wants to go to an A. The E wants to go to an F. And actually the C is a common note. The C stays the same. In fact, if we just played the E and B flat, you can hear it pulling to the F and A, okay? Now, the third 7th chord is a minor 7th. Now, that also has the B flat, but it also has an E flat. Okay, so C, E flat, G, B flat. And that's the chord that's kind of jazzy sounding. Now, the key that one is in depends on a couple of things, all right? Most often, it's considered a 2 chord, okay? And what that means is, let's go back to the key of C for a second, okay? So in the key of C, C is our 1, D would be our 2 chord. And if I play a D chord in the key of C, D, F, A, C, that becomes a D minor 7 chord. Alright, so the 2 of C. Now you might be asking, why are those notes natural in the key of D, and why does that mean it's a minor 7th chord? Well, because if we were actually in the key of D, F is sharp, do, re, mi, and C is sharp, T, sharp, A, C sharp would be the major 7th for a D chord, but we pull the F sharp down to F and the C sharp down to C, and there's our major 7th. And because it's all white keys, key of C. Okay, and that's the 2 chord. So now let's go back to our C minor 7. C, E flat, G, B flat. So if that's the 2, then what's the 1? Well, you just go backwards, right? So C is 2, then backwards would be B. Of course, in this case, it's B flat, because the key of B flat has, of course, a B flat in it. And we've got the B flat. So your major 7th chord for B flat would be B flat, D, F, and A. And then the C chord, C minor 7th, is the 2. Okay? So let me just kind of diagram that a little bit. So we have C, E, G, B flat, major 7th. And oftentimes major 7th, they use a triangle. Sometimes they write M-A-J, sometimes they use a triangle. Okay, triangle is kind of shorthand. Now we've got C, E, G, B flat. That's the dominant 7th. And usually that's when it just has a 7, nothing else but a 7, that means dominant 7th. Sometimes they'll put DOM, but very, very rarely. Usually it'll just be C7. Now C7, because of that B flat, that puts it in the key of F. Okay? F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, and then F. Okay? The C major 7 is smack dab in the key of C. Okay? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and back to C. Now then, the third one we have where B flat and E flat are in the chord, and that's called the minor 7, and that's going to have a small m, okay, for the minor. So that one, oh, so this is a 1 chord, this is a 5 chord, okay. Dominant is also, the 5 chord is also called the dominant chord. Again, it's dominant because it's pulling back to the 1. C chord is a 2. And we use small i's for the Roman numeral 2 if it's a minor chord, okay? And that's going to put us in the key of B flat. So we'll have B flat, C, D,
Hey Steven.
E flat, F, G, A, and B flat. So that's the scale, and the C minor 7 chord is made up of those notes in that scale, okay? So that's how we arrive at the different kinds of 7th chords. Now there's an extremely rarely used chord called the minor major 7th, and that's where you have the E flat but a B natural, okay? And that's kind of a weird sounding chord. It's kind of spooky almost sounding. But the one other chord we do have that you've already had before is this. C, E flat, G flat, B double flat. That's what you had in the Moonlight Sonata in the Beethoven, okay? And that's a diminished 7 chord. And that's made with a little circle, okay? That's also can be kind of a spooky chord as well. Now, you can have that chord without without double flattening your B, okay? And that's called a half diminished, okay? C, E flat, G flat, B single flat. All right, and to designate half diminished, you put a slash through the circle, okay? Basically cutting the circle in half. Now, in your song, swinging sevenths, all right, you actually have a half diminished chord. It's the one that's built on B. Yeah, on line 3, measure 3. All right, you've got B, and then the D is in the right hand, but it would be B, D, F, and then A. And that's a half diminished chord. Okay, now you can also take a look at the individual intervals. For instance, on the C full diminished chord, C, E flat, G flat, B double flat, or A, each one of those intervals is a minor third. There's 2 notes in between each note. Okay, for the half diminished, there's 2 notes in between every note except the last 2, which has 3 notes in between. Alright? Likewise, when we go from the minor 7th, we've got 2 notes between the first 2, a minor third, then 3 notes between the next one, a major third, 2 notes between the next, another minor third. So it's minor third, major third, minor third. On the major 7th, we've got major third, minor third, major third. And on the dominant 7th, we've got minor third, minor third, minor third. Okay? Now the other thing we discovered is that you can also think of it as 2 chords overlapping. So if we overlap a C chord and an E minor chord, E, G, B, we get a C major 7 chord. If we overlap a C minor chord, C, E flat, G, and an E flat major chord, E flat, G, B flat, we end up with a C minor 7. And then finally, if we overlap C major and E diminished, E, G, B flat, that gets us our dominant chord. Now, just a quick little deal about this 1, 2, and 5, okay? There's a very common progression that happens that's called the 2-5-1 progression. And it happens a lot in jazz songs and musical standards and kinds of things like that. Now, these would be all in the same key. So let's just go back to C. Our 2 is going to be D minor 7. Our 5, C, D, E, F, G, will be G dominant 7th. So a G chord with an F. And then, of course, our 1 is going to be C major 7. So 2, 5, 1. All right. Now, oftentimes we will make inversions out of those. So we'll have the D in this case, in root position with the D on the bottom. But for the G7, we'll have the D on the bottom since we already have it. D, F, G, B. So that's second inversion. And then we'll go to the C, also in root position. So this hand hardly has to move. Okay, and if we add the root in the bass, that's kind of how lots of songs are written, and sometimes they go through different keys that way. So I'm just going to go through a couple keys doing the same kind of deal. So we'll start in C. And now I'm going to make C the 2. And now B flat's going to be the 2. That's how one way, songs can move between keys just by changing this 2-5-1 thing. All right, so we'll talk a little bit more about that in the coming weeks, and otherwise we will see you a week and a half or so. All right, take care.